Hello, and welcome to a tutorial on how to use Trello to digitize your RedZone process. My name is Jason Richards, and I'm an account manager in the Oklahoma City office. We in the Oklahoma City, Tulsa, and Bentonville offices have used Trello as a digital RedZone board for probably the last year and a half to 2 years. Over that time, the application as a RedZone replacement has gained some traction, and I've spent quite a bit of time walking through with leaders around the organization how we use this. So I thought I'd take a few minutes and record this quick tutorial, give a little bit of a demonstration of how we're using it to allow you to get that understanding on your time, whenever it's convenient to you. So we'll hop into it. If we head to Trello, it's a web-based tool. There are multiple software versions you can download for iOS or Windows or Android on your desktop as well. For today's purposes, we're going to just open it up in Chrome. You can see I have several boards. I'm a part of many teams. I've helped stand up offices and delivery teams, Trello boards for use as a RedZone tool. But this is how the Bentonville, Oklahoma City, and Tulsa office board, it's kind of what it looks like. So we'll jump into that today for demonstration purposes. So when you hop into the board, there's a lot going on. We've got a lot of business. We've had some good momentum here in Oklahoma City. So I'll give you a brief overview. This boards section here is a quick switch between boards that you may be involved in. RedZone's one board, not a big deal. You can favorite the board here. You have your team information here, whether the board's visible to the team or not. And then you have an outline of the members of the team. And as you can see here, we have about 77 people in the Oklahoma City, Bentonville, and Northwest Arkansas offices on this board. Introduce you to the board, you have basically swim lanes on a Kanban board. And these represent the columns that you would have in your RedZone board as well. And then this would be a card representing a requirement or a chip on your physical RedZone board. And I'll kind of walk through and give you a brief demonstration or explain how we use our RedZone process. So commits over here on the far left just represents the salespeople calling their shot for the week, whether or not they're calling a commit, whether they're focused on business development. As we move over, pipeline requirements are business that's 2 to 6 weeks out, but still in the sales development process. We have rec development that's 2 weeks out. So these are a little bit closer to being ready for prime time, but not quite yet. We have sourcing. So these are all of our qualified requirements that are ready for prime time, and we have live recruiting allocation on them. And then we have QA. This represents kind of the qualify, disqualify process or the quality process. We have sell. We have interview set, waiting for answer. Then we have our commits for the week. We've gotten off to a good start. Today's Monday, and we're already 13 of 19 for the week. So we're off to a really good start here in the Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Bentonville market. We have losses and washes that we track weekly. Then we have starts that we don't have a confirmed start date on. And then you get into starts that we do have a confirmed start date. So, this is week 30, 31, etc. And then we have a bunch of historical data all the way back to week 1 of 2018. So we can track that and keep that. I won't dive into those archives too much. Now let's talk about the process. So a card represents a tag on the RedZone board. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. If we open one up, what you'll see here is you have members, and we utilize members to show recruiter allocation. So right here, Kayla is a recruiter allocated and actively working on this requirement. You can see that this is my requirement. It is an apps requirement. We utilize these labels for a couple of different reasons. One, they give us quick visual representation of where geographically, since we operate in 3 markets. We've color-coded those. I'll show you that in a moment. And which division. Labels and members are both filterable fields, meaning I can filter away all of the noise on the RedZone board and just look at my requirements or just look at apps requirements. I'll give you a demonstration of that here in a moment. We have the rec ID. We have whether or not the requirement is exclusive. We want that quick visual representation to be able to make good business allocation decisions. We track the candidates' names. We have a column for spread, and then we have a drop-down menu for fill, wash, and loss. In the description, we put a brief overview of the contract duration or the nature of the placement, and then we have live links to the requirement in RWS and Salesforce. It's really important that we maintain Salesforce and RWS, soon to be connected, as our source of record for these requirements. So we're not trying to replace any data. We're literally just using this as a representation of the data on the RedZone board, and representing the data in Salesforce and RWS. So this is a requirement that any tag that makes it to the RedZone board has this link verifying that the requirement's written up and we're working on good business. You can see here I can implement a due date. So let's say I have a sell time, and in this case I actually do, coming up here shortly. I have a 10:30 a.m. sell time on this requirement today. Actually, that's not tomorrow, that's today. So let's change that. And you can also see communication that may take place. So this is communication between myself and the recruiter working on this. You can use @mentions to notify the recruiter and ping them kind of directly, which is really cool, a lot like any other social media platform. And what's also really neat is you can track anytime a change is made to a requirement. Very important for just tracking the success and our level of control on a requirement. And also, when you're relinquishing and giving control to the RedZone board to so many people, you have some accountability for moves and changes. Like I mentioned here, you can see the different color codes. I'll show you a little bit around what that filtering looks like. So let's say that I'm running an application-specific RedZone and I only want to look at applications business. I can filter by applications, and now all the other requirements on the RedZone board go away, and all I'm looking at is applications business, which is really neat. Let's take another scenario. Let's say that I'm working with a recruiter and I'm really wanting to understand, how they're doing with regards to, how many candidates they've got in play, where their candidates may be, that type of thing. I can, click on a recruiter as a member. I can see that, Gala in this instance is aligned to this JB Hunt Angular position. And then if I go through and look, she's got no other candidates in play, but she does have a handful of candidates that she's recently locked up that are going in the door in the next week or two. And I can go in and even look at historically how the recruiters perform. So really cool to be able to talk through, where a recruiter may be spending their time, or a salesperson even. Let's look at the same scenario for a salesperson. For a salesperson, I'm going to go and I'm going to use labels rather than the members. But I can look at this, salesperson and say, okay, well, we've got one requirement we expect to lock up this week. We've got a couple that we're actively working on, and she's got a pretty good pipeline of business that she's trying to develop and get ready for prime time. So the filtering capability really allows for some teaching and coaching. It also allows for you to kind of really clear out the noise and only focus on certain segments of the business, which is really cool. Moving a requirement from one section to another is super easy. You just drag the requirement and move it. Very easy to do, not complicated. Again, the tool is really simple, really straightforward. So let's say that you're a DBO and you're running RedZone here, and you want to be able to look at everything you've got coming up right now. So I can sort this, and I can sort by due date. And what it's going to do is it's going to show me the information that's past due first, coming in the next 24 hours, and then so on and so forth, sorting, descending by due date. So again, I don't want to take this too long or make this too complicated. I really wanted to give just a brief overview of how we have organized our RedZone board. The key elements here are having consistency in your naming mechanism. We use client job title, and then using the labels, using the colors to represent certain things. Again, I can see that this, because it's green, is Oklahoma City. This, because it's red, is Bentonville. Whether PJ or Chrissy, different offices, different sizes, you can use the label naming and the label color for different things, but that filtering capability really makes it powerful. And then utilizing the members as recruiter allocation. Again, really simple to turn around and look and see who's working on what. So thought I would give a brief overview. Hopefully that gives you some indication of how we're using Trello, how you may be able to use Trello in your own local markets. Again, I'm Jason Richards in Oklahoma City. If you have questions or want to reach out to me directly, you can do so. My email address is crichard, CRICHARD, @techsystems.com. Hope it helps. Have a wonderful day. Reach out if you need. Thank you.